Good afternoon, Josh Masters here, and this afternoon we're going to talk about some of the hidden extra costs that you might come across when you're looking to purchase an investment property. Now, I do talk about due diligence all the time, and that is getting a valuation, a building inspection, and a strata inspection done when you're looking to purchase a property. Now, the strata inspection I find invaluable. It's actually a detailed a record of all the owners' cooperations and meetings that they've had with all the other owners together during an AGM. Talks about all the activity within the building, any repairs that are needed within the building. Often these repairs aren't picked up by building inspections sometimes because the owners really know sort of what is happening in certain parts of the building where other people can't get to. They also talk about problem tenants, which can be invaluable as well. Now, they also show how much money is actually in what they call the sinking fund, and this is the bank account that all the owners put their strata fees into and they pool together to use to improve the building over time. It's actually like a maintenance cost. Now, what you can't tell with the strata records, and in my experience, you need to read between the lines sometimes because they don't always tell you everything. Because, for example, a strata record might be very light on detail. It'll tell you that, you know, something was done last year, maybe a little work was done this year. Now, that could indicate that the building has no problems at all, but it could also indicate that nobody's doing anything and they're not very proactive, and the building could be actually falling into disrepair. So it's really important when you go to inspect these buildings that you have a look around. I find gardens really indicative of how the building is treated. If they can't spend money on the gardens and just keeping them up to scratch, then it's very rare that they'll probably put money into doing other things like painting the building or looking after major problems or remedial work when it does come up. So when I go into building, I love to look at the gardens, how they are, the paint work, whether there's any guttering work that needs to be done. All these things will cost money. Even the windows, if they're in disrepair, they can be very expensive to replace later on. Now, when you go to read the strata report, if the building looks like it needs a lot of work, check to see how much money is in the strata records, that is in the sinking fund. That will usually tell you whether there's enough money to repair these, or if you're buying into the block, you may actually be caught with a special levy that could amount to tens of thousands of dollars. Now, as a general indication, probably $30,000 is the minimum that I like to see in there. If it's any less than that, regardless of the size of the building, generally you may find that you have to put out of pocket a little bit of money as you go along on top of the investment. So that's my tip for the day. If you're out there looking at great little properties, make sure you check on the condition of the common areas, make sure they're all up to scratch, and if they're not up to scratch, always check your strata records to make sure it's got a healthy sinking fund. This is Josh Masters.